All right. I'm Natalie, and I'm here with Heather for Wisconsin Voices for Recovery, the Saturday night series. So we're going to go ahead and start the interview now. So, Heather, why don't you just start off by telling me a little bit about yourself?
My name is Heather Zimborski. I'm 42. I have two boys who are 22 and 20. I work at Granger in Janesville, Wisconsin, and I'm currently going to school for psychology and counseling, majoring in addiction.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's become a passion of mine, definitely.
hmm I'm sure it keeps you busy.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad my boys are grown.
hmm Yeah. So maybe you can start off just by telling me for us about your recovery journey a little bit.
Um, So I was good through my boys being young, and I think it was about the age of, well, let's go back. When I was in high school, the very first time I drank, I was with my best friend who I trust. My parents were a lot happened in my life and they didn't let me do a lot of stuff. So I finally got out with my friends. And the very first time I drank, everybody else was drinking normal. And I drank one beer and I loved the taste of it. And I got completely and utterly smashed. My girlfriend had to take care of me that night. I kind of ruined her fun. And then it was kind of a in and out thing with drinking. I guess it wasn't very big. When I turned 21, I was working at a factory and I went out with some of my friends, but my boys were little, so I didn't really, it didn't, it didn't bother me. But then I turned 22 and I started going out with a different group of people, and I noticed I was different right away with how I drank. I guess we would go to the bars and stuff, and they were all good and kosher, and I'd already drank so much. Like there was times I'd go in the bathroom and puke, and I'd start drinking again, and I
hmm
didn't know why. I had gotten married at a young age. I was 19 when I got married, and then I got divorced when I was 24, and I met somebody else. That's when my drinking career really, really picked up. There was a lot of nights of blackouts. Very early into it, um, I have really bad anxiety. I learned that alcohol cured the anxiety. And
hmm
then I tried going to the doctor. The doctor did not want to put me on meds because I was drank so much.
hmm
And so I just kept drinking. And it was like a vicious circle. I mean, there was nights of blackout, stupid stuff. I was a frequent flyer at the ER from drinking, um, because it would make my anxiety so bad. My heart was raced. There's a couple times they had to give me shots to slow my heart down. Um, it was just a big vicious circle. And I
Yeah.
fought through that for 17 years. I got pancreatitis very early on because I drank so much, and then the beer wasn't doing anything anymore. And I started drinking vodka. And
Mhm.
it was to the point where drinking wasn't fun anymore. I didn't want to drink, I had to drink. And I was putting vodka in, I would did home daycare, and I was putting vodka in my Gatorade in the morning before I could even function to drive my kids to school, my daycare kids. Um, so that was very early into it. And then I didn't drink for 2 years. And then they're not kidding when, in the meetings and around the tables, you hear that alcoholism was very progressive, because I was scared to death to drink after that pancreatitis because it was the worst pain I've ever imagined.
Mhm.
And I went right back into it. I did good for about 3-4 weeks. Um, at that time, I don't know if you know what like lime maritas are and margaritas.
Mm.
It's just the little things, and I'm like, I'm just gonna start with these. It's just a little thing, and I'd have a couple and I'd be good. Then I was up to 6 or 8, and then they gave me heartburn, so I'd use beer as an excuse, and it went right back into the blackouts. the not remembering, the doing stupid stuff. And I got right back to the point where drinking wasn't fun. I didn't want to drink, but I had to drink. I couldn't function without it.
Mhm.
So all the years of that, and then I decided to quit again. I made it about a year and a half, and it was the same thing. I went back into it. It was chronic drinking. I couldn't wait to get rid of my daycare kids. I couldn't wait for my kids to go away.
Mhm.
I had every excuse. Everything revolved around that next drink. And then it got to the point where I couldn't go to bed at night. I was up drinking all night till like 4 a.m. I'd lay down for 2 hours and get up and take the daycare kid,
Mhm.
It was a vicious circle.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was because of my mental health, the depression, the anxiety, for a while the alcohol made everything better. But then I got to a point where it just didn't.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then before I got into AA, the last 6 months were horrible. I did so much stuff that I would never do. It wasn't me. I went out on a binger one Memorial Day weekend, ended up on the back of a motorcycle with some guy. He took me to his clubhouse. I went to sleep with him. He made me walk. I don't Parts of that weekend were sketchy and gone. I didn't know where my truck was once my family found me. I have 2 dogs, which I love dearly. I was home all weekend. Like I was done. I was to the point where I was praying to God to not wake me up in the morning. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm never gonna beat this. I'm never gonna be able to get over this. I'm never gonna be able to not drink. I thought all I was ever gonna amount to was being a worthless drunk. I hated myself. I hated what I was doing to everybody around me, and life was very bleak.
Yeah. That's an incredibly difficult place to be in.
Oh yeah, it's not, you know, I guess the hard part about it is when I had to listen to people that I love so much tell me you're this, you're that, and I knew that. I did know, and I didn't want to be there,
Mhm.
but I didn't know how to get out of it because I tried before and I'd failed.
Yeah.
And when you live that lifestyle and that's what your life revolves around, and when I was a little girl, my aunt was murdered.
Oh, wow.
Um, I was 3, so I watched my family go through that. And then between the ages of 7 and 11, my brother's best friend molested. And my family, we didn't talk about stuff. Everything got swept under the rug. I didn't tell my mom about that until I was 22 years old for the first time. I didn't talk about it. And when you hold all that stuff in, it, it's not an excuse for why I drank, but when you hold all that stuff in, something needs to kill the pain. And I learned
Yeah.
very fast that the alcohol did that. It killed the pain, it killed the anxiety, it made me not think or feel.
Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that you went through all of that. And I mean, yeah, it does sound like it was a vicious cycle of kind of trauma and then alcohol to kind of, I mean, use it as sort of a band-aid, it sounds like, for something.
Yes,
Um,
it was a journey, but I'd go back and do it all over again to have the quality of life and the way I look at life
yeah.
right now. I'd go back and I'd go through it all over again. And it was hell. It was not fun.
Yeah.
And there was nights I was sitting on the bathroom floor after drinking so much trying to cut myself and cut my wrist, but
Mhm.
in the long run it was worth it. All the pain and all the stuff I went through, it was worth the quality of life I have now, because I would never appreciate so much stuff. I don't think I know what the word gratitude even meant.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that's quite the journey that you went through. Can you maybe talk a little bit about, I guess, like what kind of made you start turning turning the wheel towards recovery, kind of.
Um, so I have a friend in the family who's an Al-Anon, and through this whole 20 years, I'd reached out to her, I'd talked, I'd tried. She had taken me up to detox once. I was up there 2 hours
Hmm.
and I left. I'm not doing this. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready because when I was sitting up there thinking, and they even told me what my blood alcohol level was, and I was like, I left. And they told me, don't drink for a couple days because it's going to take a couple days for all this alcohol to get out of your system.
Hmm.
I went home, I slept for 2 hours, I got up and I started drinking again.
Yeah.
So I had been friends with this lady and I've reached out to her several times, and I always felt like there was something missing. I never felt a part of, I always felt different and felt like I didn't fit in, and I
Sure.
talked to her about that and she said, I really think you would do well at these meetings. She goes, you're a people person. I listened. She planted a seed a long time ago. But then one day when I was in the midst of all the chaos, I called her and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm just done. So she gave me a name of someone, which is Mike, who you know.
Hmm.
And him and his wife came and picked me up from my house. Amazing people. And they took me to their house. We had coffee to sober me up because it was like 6 a.m. It was a snowstorm and they came and picked me up. I'd been up all night drinking because I didn't know what to do. I was just done. And
Hmm.
I knew it was either I was going to drink myself to death, I was going to kill myself, or I was going to get sober. And I never thought I was strong enough to get sober.
Hmm.
Um, so that was my very first meeting. I came in at the end of November and my sobriety date is June 27th of 2020.
Okay.
So I dabbled. I went to meetings. I listened. I'd go to a meeting and I'd be like, these people are nuts. This isn't what's going to happen. I can't do this. But the drinking started getting less and less. And the AA and the recovery and the people became more and more of my life. Well, then that same friend, Becky, who was an Al-Anon, I went to her house and we went to a meeting. And she introduced me to this girl, and first thing I thought about her is I'm like, that girl's a bitch. So I got her number,
Hmm.
and she texted me that very night, and we were up texting until like 2 a.m.
Oh wow.
And 5 minutes into this conversation, I asked her to be my sponsor, and I got
Hmm.
lucky. We clicked. I spent buku time with her. She was not working at the time. I was working, and I got very serious about my recovery.
Okay.
I stayed sober for 30 days. I relapsed.
Hmm.
She said, you ding dong, you're not supposed to celebrate your 30 days. So then I started over June 27th, June 27th of 2020. And I have not had a drink since. Come to find out her mother had passed away like right when I met her. She was still going to group counseling. And my sobriety date is her birthday. And I totally believe that's the coincidence. And I didn't even know that until she told me.
Wow.
So December 27th, I will have 18 months of sobriety.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I
It's such a long
can't,
time.
it is, and it's hard. It's hard living life's term and learning to deal with stuff and really have to feel through it and work through it. It's tough.
Hmm.
There's
Yeah.
been deaths in the program because of COVID.
Hmm.
As my sponsor's stepdad just passed away like a month ago because of COVID.
Okay.
And that family became my other family. They all took me and they understood Dad and my AA family were my family. They tell people to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. I went to close to 200. I put my heart and soul into that because I wanted it. I wanted what those people had, and I didn't want to be the person I was anymore.
Mm, mm. It sounds like you've met some really amazing, supportive people.
Oh,
during your-
I think, sorry, I had my fan on. Absolutely. There's, there's no perfect church because there's people in it. AA is the same, but I would say 98% of them, it's like a big community of hope and trust and learning to rebuild.
Mhm.
And the stuff I've learned, and every day, they say we have to remain teachable, and every day I learn something new about myself.
Mhm. What do you think have been the most helpful things for you during recovery?
I would have to say the meetings. For an hour every day when I was going to those, sometimes 3 times a day, that was my safe place.
Mhm.
I knew, being out in that world and peopling was really hard because I hated myself and being around other people. But I think the meetings, being around people that really understand who you are and that you share something with that is so, I guess it's very personal because we've all done stuff.
Yeah.
and and to have people that you can sit and talk to and they truly don't judge you and they act like they care and they don't look at you any different after you tell them about all that stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, those are bonds. It's hard to explain. I get emotional because this program has changed my life, but I mean, those are just bonds that you can't explain. My sponsor has three other sisters, and I have sisters now. I have one older brother, and I have this extended family. So I would
Mhm.
definitely say, the meetings, the people, those people in that room. One guy just celebrated 36 years, and just
Oh.
listening to them talk and sharing their wisdom and their stuff. And we have, the big book, and that's done, wonders just reading it. And
Mhm.
and you see parts of you in that book.
Yeah. Yeah, it really sounds like such a special community to be a part of.
It is, and we're lucky down in Janesville because we have like one of the most meetings in this district. There's 54 meetings a week at
Mhm.
different times, different, that feeling of if you get in a bind or you don't feel good going on, or you always have somewhere to go.
Mhm. Yeah. I want to ask, how does your experience with oh, dog, so cute.
Oh, she's stop. Sorry, my little bird.
um, how has your experience with recovery changed over time? I guess like over the past months.
Um, it's hard when you get in.
Mhm.
You don't think you can do it. You don't think what those people are saying is true. Um, I told them all when I spoke, I'm like, I thought you guys were a cult. I'm like, because there was like no way, and the
Mhm.
way they interacted with everyone, and when someone had a problem, everybody pitched in. But you're always learning and growing and becoming, the better person you want to be. Why we work through our steps. But the more time and the more effort you put into it, it's hard to explain. I guess you get out of recovery what you put into it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I've put my heart and soul into it. I jumped right into service work. I run meetings.
Mhm.
I'm the Mako rep. I just got January 1st. I'm starting as GSR for District 30.
Wow.
Um, it's just it always changes and grows if you want it to.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's hard to, but whatever you put into it, you get out of it. Plus some.
Yeah. Sounds like it's a very individual experience.
Oh yeah, because there's 12 steps and people can work them. It's easy to go and sit in the rooms and talk and say, this, that, and every other thing, but going out in the real world and really living those steps,
Mhm.
and the traditions and doing what we're supposed to do and treating people and remembering and, just doing the next right thing
Mhm.
is very, very important. Like I said,
Mhm.
it's easy to sit and talk about in the rooms, but learning how to carry it through your everyday life and work and I used to be the first one when somebody cut me off driving down the road, flipping them off and yelling and screaming. And now it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe there's something on their plate. Maybe they're in a hurry.
Mhm.
You're ever evolving and just handle stuff differently.
Yeah. Sounds like you've really changed a lot of your mindset just on a day to day
Yeah.
in this. Yeah. Have how has, I guess, recovery changed at all, like your relationships with others in your life, like family or friends?
Um, at the very beginning, they were skeptical.
Sure.
Uh, One of my favorite sayings that I found, we have daily like readings and stuff that we do meditations,
Mhm.
uh, stuff just to help you, connect with your higher, what you choose to call your higher power and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
I stumbled across this one that says the best apology is change behavior. Yes, you work through your stuff and you talk to people, but
Mhm.
just seeing them see me live a different life. I mean, my dad gave me a hug on my when I got my year and he was like, proud of you. Just on Thanksgiving, my brother tapped me on the shoulder, and it's just so weird because he's never been one of those talky, emotional. He tapped me on the shoulder and gave me a big old hug. He's like, "I'm so proud of you, sis." Like
Oh.
those things, and for my boys to see their mom and have their mom back again, and
Mhm.
they know that,
Mhm.
and to see me happy and smiling and laughing and not angry all the time.
Mhm.
Those are just things that you can't put value on.
Absolutely. And that's such a good phrase that you mentioned. I really like that.
Oh, yeah. Stop it. I have a spoiled chihuahua. She's like, "Mom, you're not petting me."
um,
I see you.
what helps you stay sober on a day-to-day basis? Like, have you made certain lifestyle changes that are have been particularly helpful?
Yes. Like I said, the morning readings, we have like meditations and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, there's these people on YouTube called Joe and Charlie. Whenever I'm in a funk, they explain the big book, kind of like in layman's
Mm.
terms. But
Okay.
sometimes funk and I'll listen to them.
Mhm.
Um, music. Music I've learned I'm still working on the balance thing because I'm codependent, I'm a people pleaser.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's just stuff I'm working on.
Yeah.
But I think just knowing when I feel a little off,
Yeah.
um, to reach out to another alcoholic and talk to them,
Mhm.
go to a meeting, you know, and like I said, if you can't make it to a meeting, reaching out to somebody else and but the daily meditations, the talking, the really looking at what you do during the day and saying, what you say to people and how you treat them and um,
Mhm.
learning how to, oh, stop it. Um, another, Another one of my favorite things is shh, stop. Listen.
See
Go.
something out
No, she's jealous because I'm on the phone.
there.
I have a black lab and a chihuahua, and they're both very spoiled. But one of another one of my favorite sayings is listen to understand, not to react.
Oh.
Because when I drank, I would argue with you tooth and nail that I was right, I was this, I was that, you were wrong. But I mean,
Mhm.
just understanding people, the stuff I've learned in AA, it's a total different life, you know. And I would have
Mhm.
never done meditations during the day. I would have never listened to music. They also say in the program, it's never too late to start your day over. And I
Mm.
love that because everybody has a bad day. Life happens, like you can't stop life from happening. And just remembering that if something happens, I don't have to let it ruin my next 3 days because I did when I was drinking. I let it I wanted it to ruin it. That's my excuse to, but I mean,
Mhm.
just all the stuff that I do differently now that, reading and enjoying me time and knowing to listen to my body and my mind and, do and every day could be different. One day I might not and one day I might, it's I
Mhm.
guess wake up in the morning and get up and a lot of praying, thanking God because I do believe that somebody else is helping me with this, so I do not believe it.
Mm.
But it changes day to day, but
Yeah, it really sounds like it. It sounds like you are a lot more kind of mindful of how you're feeling on a day to day now.
oh yes. Yes, because I don't ever want, that I still have anxiety and depression. I found an amazing doctor who gave me meds for it.
Oh,
Um,
good.
she sends me messages on my sobriety birthdays, forget, you know, she's like, I'm so
Mhm.
proud of you, and I was open with her through a lot of it, through the whole thing. And she never pushed anything, but
Mhm.
she's an amazing doctor. So, being on the right meds and knowing, like if I have an anxiety attack, I have a pill there to take, and I would much rather take one pill than stay up all night drinking a 30 pack and feel like crap the next day.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have that as a resource, definitely.
I definitely don't like taking them unless I have to, but just knowing they're there and
Mhm. Yeah. Um, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced in staying sober?
society. Drinking is everywhere. Weddings, funerals,
Mhm.
everything
It is.
seems to turn into drinking. And, I prayed to God. I said, just take this urge away from me, because that's what I heard the people in the program. And I got pretty blessed and lucky because that urge went away very early. But I went to my meetings, I got involved in service work. I
Mhm.
changed all my people, places, and things pretty much, so it was pretty easy. But last year on New Year's Eve, I went into Woodman's because I was going to a get together at a friend's house, all
Mhm.
sober people. And I go on the same end of Woodman's all the time, and the liquor store is right there. And I'd never ever even stopped to look at it again, And I saw these people coming out laughing and joking and with all their party stuff on for New Year's. I just stopped. I was like, and I went right to my truck and I called one of my good friends in the program and talked to
Mhm.
him. And by the time I pulled out that parking lot, I forgot what I was even calling them for.
Mhm.
But I think the big thing of everyday life is keeping yourself plugged into the program.
Mm.
Um, you have to keep in touch with people. You have to do you have to work on your sobriety every day. You know, we're granted a reprieve, and but it's not, oh, I go to a meeting on Monday, I'm good till Friday. There's stuff that you need to work on every day to stay
Mhm.
sober.
Yeah, it's such an ongoing process.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it is not letting my mindset get back into the old thinking habits and not, hang with old people. And it's a lot of change, but once I think you realize the change is for the better, you start to realize how strong you are and how much you really want it. It gets easier every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hearing what you're saying, I'm incredibly impressed by the strength that you've shown in this journey. It's really amazing to hear.
Thank you. It's not easy, but like I said, you get out of it what you put into it. And
Mhm.
I had to jump in because it was to the point for me where I started to, it was life or death. It was either
Mhm.
I was gonna live and be sober, or one way or another I was gonna die.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you have any advice for others who are going through addiction?
Reach out. There are so many people that are willing to help. Um, People have to be ready, and I've seen a lot of people coming in and out, but I mean, my advice is to reach out for help. I mean, if you Google AA meetings, resources, I don't know how I didn't end up in detox or rehab because a lot of my friends in the program have. I did it
Mhm.
myself. I don't know how, but there's rehabs, there's detox centers, there's counselors, there's AA. I mean, my personal thing is, if you're going through addiction, there's AA meetings for alcoholics, there's AA meetings for, people with hard drugs and narcotics. Just reach out for help. There's so many resources out there, and we have the world at our fingertips right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, and it's scary, but it's worth it. It is so, it's worth every second of, the pain and everything else, because it's a whole different life. I can't even explain what it's like to go to bed at night and want to wake up the next morning, and waking up and just being thankful that you're alive and thankful that you get another day to live,
Mhm.
and live the quality, of life. So definitely the advice is reach out. There's so much stuff out there. Nobody ever has to do any of this alone because it's a lot. I feel like I started my life over at 41 years old, and now I'm 42, and it was it's a journey, but it's a wonderful one.
You've come a really long way.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so excited for my 18 months because we get a coin on our year, and December 27th I'll get my 18-month
Yeah,
coin. But
that's so exciting.
it's like I said, I never thought I could do it. I never thought, I didn't think these people were telling the truth. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't love anybody. I didn't love myself. And, I can honestly look at myself in the mirror now and love who I am. I see all these people in the program, and I honestly love them, and I want to help them, and, in
Mhm.
any way I can. And it's not a selfish thing of, oh, I'll pat you on the back. What are you going to do for me?
Mhm.
di- it's a whole different life. It's a whole different feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to overcome all of that and to be where you are right now. It's-
It is. It is.
Do you have any other thoughts that you'd like to share that I haven't asked you about or that we haven't already talked about?
Um, I don't think so. Not that I can think of. I feel like I just blabbed for too long.
No, that was amazing to hear. It made me so happy to hear about where you started and where you are now. And just your positive outlook on life is really inspiring. So,
Yeah. Well, I figure if I can do it, anybody can. I never would have thought, but
yeah, it's, it's amazing. Thank you so much, I guess, for sharing all of this with me and whoever listens to this video. I hope they find it helpful and inspiring in the same way that I have just listening to you right now. And
I hope so, because if it helps one person, it was worth it.